Good morning. This is Robert Goodman here on Positive Strokes, staying clean here on YouTube. And I share my strength and hopes about recovery. And today we're going to talk about step 10. We continue to take personal inventory and when we're wrong, promptly admitted it. Well, when I did step 9 and I cleaned the wreckage of my past and I approached the people or what I've done to them and made amends to these people, and I gave it to a power greater than me, not to carry it anymore, which was my higher power, which I choose to call as God. A great weight was lifted off of me. I wasn't carrying the mistakes and the pain I've done to others. I wasn't carrying the trauma that was done to me by someone. But I had let it go and gave it to a power greater than me, which restored me to sanity, which I choose to call as God. Also, I worked my program of recovery by going to the people that I've harmed in my active addiction in the past and made amends to them. Some that I made amends to are still with me today. Others still don't want to have nothing to do with me, and others would like to hurt me, but they choose not to. So I understand that I have no control over people, places, or things, or how a person feels about what I've done to them in my active addiction. But what I did was I cleaned the wreckage of my past. I'm allowing it not to live rent-free in my head anymore by dealing with this situation honestly, openly, and willing to do the next right thing. So once I uncleaned all that wreckage of the past, then I had to learn how to take daily inventory of Robert. So when I do make a mistake, admit to the wrong, promptly admit to my wrong, learn from it, make the necessary changes, and move forward on living life on life's terms. And this formula right here teaches me how to deal with the mistakes and the choices that Robert makes. That when Robert makes a bad choice and goes down the rabbit hole, then he can own up to how he got there and why he made that decision and correct it. And this is what I do. And it causes me not to live in the pain of the mistake. Understanding that I am an imperfect person, that I do make mistakes, that what I'm doing is I'm just owning up to the mistake that I've made, making the necessary changes in my life not to make that mistake again and to learn from it. Not to feel bad, not to have my lip all poked out, not being ashamed, but understanding that I am an imperfect person and I do make mistakes. The mistake is not important. I always share this. Is what we do after the mistake. Is what we do after the mistake. That's what's important. And the interesting thing about that is, if you make a mistake and then you do the next right thing and you overcome the situation, you should be proud and grateful that you've seen the mistake that you made, that you altered your direction to do the next right thing to make the situation better. And that is truly what we need to do in our everyday living. We must all face our fears, face our situations in our lives, and when we make a mistake, honestly own up to the mistake because we're imperfect, So there should be no shame because everybody makes mistakes. Everybody. So it doesn't matter what the mistake is what we do after the mistake. That's what's important. How we overcome the situation to make our lives better. And the most important thing is not to allow things to live rent free in our head. Because I've learned in my recovery that if it lives rent free in my head, it leads me down the path that I do not want to go. It ends up in active addiction for me because I'm dealing with the pain, the shame, the hurt, and it's constantly affecting me. And my mind will automatically go back to the old way that I used to and medicate myself so I don't have to feel that pain anymore. Because that way worked for a very long time until it didn't work anymore. And it became my destruction, my demise in addiction. So, when Robert makes a mistake, he corrects it. I'm not a perfect person and I don't get it right all the time. Sometimes it takes time for me to see the truth about my actions and my deeds. Because I'm human, just like anybody else. The interesting thing is that recovery taught me that I must be comfortable with myself. I must be comfortable where I'm at in my life. I should be happy for what I've accomplished in my life and stop focusing on what I don't have. Because if I keep the focus on what I don't have, then I'm going to always want more, and not be happy because I'm striving to get rid of a feeling and an emotion that causes me to feel negative, to feel upset, to feel hurt, to feel ashamed of my situation. But recovery taught me that, Robert, you need to look at your gratitude list of all the things you've accomplished up to this point in your life. And like the program of recovery says, you're right where you need to be. You are right where you need to be. And once you accept that, then you can grow. Then you can learn to make your life better. Then you can strive to move forward in your recovery and living your best life. It's important that Robert understands that it's a process of moving forward. It takes a process. I must do the research on Robert to make sure that Robert is okay. I must look at the situation and the direction that I want to go, make sure that it's stable, that it's going to be a good fit for me, that it's going to work well within my life and my lifestyle. I want to make sure that I'm not ashamed of my actions and deeds by following this path. I must be comfortable with myself and the direction that I choose to go. That means that Robert needs to do research on what he wants to do, find out what works for him, what will be beneficial to the situation that he's trying to do, and move forward. It may cost me to do some learning, going back to school. It may cause me to do more investigation on what I want to do and how it can be a benefit to me and my family. I must understand also that Rome was not built overnight. The United States, as where it stands today, was not built overnight. It took time to become one of the powerfulest countries in the entire world. It took time. So if you understand that, it takes time in recovery to build a sound life for yourself. It takes time to understand why you do the things that you do and why you feel the way you do about things. That means that it takes time for you to do the research on yourself. Because when you was in active addiction, you stopped learning about yourself. You was in the survival mode. Robert was in the survival mode for 40 years. So when I came into recovery, it took time for me to come out of that survival mode. It just didn't happen just like that. I've been living in survival mode for 40 years. So it's going to take a long time for me to readjust myself, to redirect myself in the program of recovery, doing the next right thing. I have to create new habits and a new way of living, which had took time. Has taken time. It was not done overnight. Like I said, Rome was not built in a day. So, the point for today is I must take a daily inventory of myself, and when I'm wrong, promptly admit that. Meaning that I don't want to carry nothing living rent-free in my head anymore. I'm going to use this formula, this step, to make sure I follow it fully, because that will stop me from having anything live rent-free in my head. It will get me to understand myself and my choices that I make. But the most important thing I must stay focused on is gratitude. How I got where I'm at today. To look at the steps that I did to get where I'm at today. That meant what I did to work on myself to make myself better. I had to change my behavior and my way of life and my thinking. Recovery is a tall order because we take away our addictive life and we start a brand new life. And when you start a brand new life, a new way of living, that means you start by yourself. You have to learn how to be good with yourself. You got to have peace with yourself. You should not feel ashamed about yourself. And when I started my path of recovery, openly and honestly, I may have been around other recovering addicts, but Robert was by himself. In the beginning, I could not sleep at night. I was lucky if I slept 2 or 3 hours. And the reason why is because that defensive mode, that protective mode that I've been living all my life for 40 years, I had to change my behavior. And my mind and my body took time to adjust to be in that defensive mode all the time. It took time for me to recover from that way of living. It took time for me to connect with other recovering addicts suffering the same disease that I'm suffering, sharing their strength and hopes with me. And what made me connect with them is the power of compassion. That by hearing their story, their pain, their hurt, what addiction has done to them, I could truly understand. And the protective wall comes down. And I have compassion for my fellow addict, for my fellow sister or brother in addiction that's trying to recover. I can feel their pain because I can understand. And it takes away, I'm not alone anymore. And as I walk through the program of recovery and start building a life other than addiction and association with people that use and abuse, my life got better. I could see that I could connect with other people. I could see that just because they do that doesn't mean that Robert has to do that. This is what recovery taught me. If you can get high, smoke cocaine, and work and take care of yourself, your family, and live your best life, then that's you. But Robert can't do that. Robert's off freebase some cocaine. It's a wrap. Because all I do is want more, more, and more. And I don't have no love or concern for anybody else but for me to get more, more, and more. And to validate that feeling, it would reignite my past trauma that was done to me, which gives the fuel to continue on active addiction. That's why it's so important for me to stay focused on myself, because it's so easy to fall victim back into addiction from recovery. That's why you have to pay attention to yourself and your actions and your deeds. That's why it's important for Robert to do the next right thing in living my best life. It's important for Robert to own up to his mistakes. It's important for him to do these things so he doesn't fall victim down the rabbit hole back into active addiction. Because for Robert, relapse is not an option. Because I know who I am. And if I go back, I'll probably kill myself in an overdose or in a violent situation. And I don't want that. So I pay close attention to my actions, my deeds. I make sure that I do a step 10, take personal inventory, and when I'm wrong, promptly admit that. And keep moving forward, doing the next right thing. And not being ashamed of making a mistake, because I'm human. To not focus on the mistake, but focus on the solution. Not focus on the mistake, but focus on the solution. This is Robert Goodman for Positive Strokes. I hope what I shared today touches you and helps you in your recovery. You know, it's important. It's so important that I keep the focus on myself. And I hope you keep the focus on yourself. By you doing that, you protect yourself from active addiction. You protect yourself from falling victim to making mistakes in your recovery. By paying attention to yourself, you understand yourself better and you'll be able to make better choices. Remember, when Robert started using, he stopped growing. He stopped learning about himself. So for 40 years, I stopped learning. I was in survival mode the whole time. But when I came into recovery, this is where I learned about Robert. And the more I learn about myself, the better my choices are, the better my decision making is, and the better my life becomes. I hope that you keep the focus on yourself like I keep the focus on me. Because I made I'll be 67 the 19th of this month. So by me being 67, I've been around a minute. And I've learned that I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. But as I get older, I don't want to make all these unnecessary mistakes. And that's by not paying attention to myself. But today I do. Pay attention to Robert and his actions and his recovery. And my life is getting better. I hope your life gets better as you live in recovery. This is Robert Goodman for Positive Strokes Staying Clean, wishing you a great day. And listen, subscribe, join the family of recovery. I have plenty of videos. Positive Strokes Staying Clean, I have videos on that. More about addiction, I have videos on that. Fun and motivational thoughts, I have videos on that. That's all on YouTube. You are welcome to watch them, post them, share them to other people. Then it may help them along the way in their recovery. Let us all be a beacon light for recovery to others. Let us share videos with others that are suffering in active addiction, that when they are ready, they'll watch the video and it may change the way they see themselves. It may change them to want recovery so they can learn to live their best life, to have the blessings of recovery in their life. Let us be a catalyst. Let us be a person that can help others that are suffering in active addiction. We all can help. Together we can. If we all work together in helping others that are in active addiction, we'll have less people living the life in active addiction. Y'all have a great and wonderful day. And remember, it's Saturday. Be safe out there. Enjoy your day. Remember, you are the most important person to yourself. So keep the focus on yourself so you can live your best life. You have a great and wonderful day.